number 40 in the 42 Ideas on Leadership is Presenting Across Cultures by Ruben Hernandez, published in 2013. There are 13 ideas that he talks about that we should take into consideration when we're presenting in different cultures. We're going to look at each of these in a little bit more detail. The first one is product versus market. In certain cultures, they're more interested in you telling them in the presentations about the product that you have, and in other cultures, they're more interested in what market could that product be sold in. So there's a focus on the product, or there's a focus on the people. The next area is extensive versus limited background. In certain cultures, when you're presenting, you have to give a lot of background information, the history of your company and where you've come from when you're presenting. And in other cultures, they're not interested in that. They want you to go straight to the point. So limited background. Problem versus solution. Some cultures focus more on the problem, where it came from and what are the causes and how to analyze it better. And other cultures look more at the solution. So they say, right, we know what the problem is, they go over it very quickly, and then they start spending time on how to develop a solution. Inductive versus deductive. Well, deductive ways of thinking means that you have to start in these cultures with a model and then go into specific details. Inductive cultures are ones where they build up specific examples until they can create more or less a model. So they're looking at applications. Low versus high context cultures. Low context cultures means that what you say is what's important, and in high context cultures you have to pay attention to who you're saying it to, what they think of you, what are the emotions in the room, and even where you're presenting. Formal versus informal. In a formal culture, there are structures to the way you present. You have to dress in a more formal way. You have to speak in a more formal way. In an informal culture where you're presenting, you can be informal in your dress, you can be informal in the way you address people, and in the language that you use. Individual versus group will mean that when you're presenting, you should either focus on the benefits to individuals or you should focus on benefits to the group as a whole. So that will change the way you frame the information you're giving. Time, which we've looked at in other videos also, is that there are certain cultures where time is fixed. That means you should start your presentation and finish your presentation on time. Time fluid means maybe people will start late as people arrive late, but also the presentation can go over time. It's also a greater tendency to take interruptions and to go off on tangents in a time fluid culture. Risk versus risk-averse cultures. In certain cultures, people are very happy to go and try new things. So when you're presenting to them, you can even focus on that because new things, even if they contain risk, sound exciting. In cultures that are risk-averse, you will probably have to present in a way that ties things back to what they're already doing and to the areas that people are already strong in and that the culture is already comfortable with. Figurative versus rational. In some cultures, you're going to use stories to tell. You're going to be using metaphors. You're going to be not necessarily using hard, cold facts. But in a rational culture, they're more interested in 1 + 1 = 2. They want statistics, they want hard figures, they want rational arguments. Task versus people, very normal division depending on the culture. Even within companies, in different companies, you have task versus people oriented cultures. Task means, do we focus on the task and what we're talking about, or when we're presenting, do we focus on developing a relationship with the people we're presenting to? Neutral and engaging. Well, neutral cultures, it's not expected that you would use a lot of emotion when you're presenting. An engaging culture means that you are allowed to get enthusiastic, or you're allowed to get excited, or to use emotions when you're presenting. And similar to that idea is Can you use humor or not in your presentations? So you might be from an emotional culture that is engaging, but humor and jokes are not acceptable, or you could be from a culture that is engaging and also it is acceptable to use humor and tell jokes when you're presenting. These are the 13 areas then that Ruben Hernandez talks about that you should take into account when you're presenting in different cultures. This is Presenting Across Cultures. It's number 40 in the 42 Ideas on Leadership. Comes to us from Ruben Hernandez, published in 2013.